Today, it's the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Denver Broncos.
Oh, how times change. Just 3 years ago, Dan Reeves had won his first AFC championship. 2 years ago, he captured his second. But last year, his team struggled. It went 8-8. This year, Reeves has hired new coaches, signed new players. It's a new look for the Broncos. Everything is new for Kansas City coach Marty Schottenheimer. After 4.5 years in Cleveland and 2 trips to the AFC title games in which he lost to the Broncos, Schottenheimer finds himself in Kansas City, rebuilding a club that has 2 winning seasons in its last 15 years. Schottenheimer against Reeves. It's the Chiefs against the Broncos.
The last 2 days, it was raining here in Denver. It's clear now, but our forecast for this afternoon, partly cloudy skies and a slight chance of showers as the afternoon progresses. Good afternoon and welcome to Mile High Stadium. Fred Rogan with the newest member of our NBC announced team, Lyle Alzado. That's why the rookie wears the hat. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you, Frederick.
Let's talk about the new people on the field, and we'll start with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, Kansas City's 2 new people, Marty Schottenheimer, Carl Peterson. Now, they've come from a winning tradition in Cleveland. He's hoping to bring that same philosophy and same principle offensively and defensively to Kansas City.
All right, now on the other side of the ball, we know Denver has a good offense in John Elway, but they have brought a number of new people in, especially on defense.
Absolutely. Now, the Denver Broncos have always had an explosive offense. As long as John Elway is there and he's healthy, they score points. The important part about it is their defense. They have not had a good defense. They cannot stop the run. So they brought in Wade Phillips and Earl Leggett. They have a new defensive scheme, and they're ready to go. The problem is Carl Mecklenburg. He is hurt. He has an injury to his right knee. He will not play today.
As is always the case here at Mile High Stadium, a sellout. You see the Chicago-Cincinnati score. The Bears are leading the Bengals 17-14 in the 4th quarter. Nick Lowry will kick it away for the Kansas City Chiefs, and back deep for the Denver Broncos. It's Bobby Humphrey, the rookie out of Alabama, and the veteran Ken Bell. 76,000 in Denver, and we're underway for 1989. It's Bell on the 2. Kenny Bell has some room. And he's all the way up to the 35-yard line where the Broncos start 1st and 10. Rob McGovern making the hit for the Kansas City Chiefs. Here's the way the Broncos offensive line will start. Keith Karts at center, replacing the injured Billy Bryan. It's a rebuilt group with the left tackle, Gerald Perry. And, of course, the veteran squad in the backfield led by quarterback John Elway, one of the best in the business out of Stanford. Ricky Nattiel and Michael Young will come into the ball game on 3rd and long situations. But now it's 1st and 10 Broncos, starting from their 35. Elway will put it up on the first play of the game. He's got the tight end, Clarence Kay, and Kay is stuck immediately. Kevin Ross, the first man to make the hit, with help from Walker Lee Ashley.
If you take a look at Keith Bishop on the offensive line for the Denver Broncos, does a nice job. He's very strong. Protects his center there all the time.
All right, let's check now the Kansas City defense. The front 7, up front, Bill Moss, a talented nose tackle, flanked by Neil Smith and Mike Bell. Linebackers, the rookie, Derek Thomas. Keep your eye on him. And back deep, truly one of the outstanding secondaries in all of football. Keep in mind Kevin Porter, number 27, playing for the injured Lloyd Burris. 2nd and 6. Delayed a winder. He's over the 40-yard line. It'll be a 3rd down situation. Sammy Winder, the veteran out of Southern Mississippi.
Now Keith Bishop drives his man outside. It's a nice job, and there's a hole right there, just what Keith is. Nice job by the offensive line. Keith is the only guy that's ever been voted to the Pro Bowl for the Denver Broncos.
It's amazing. They've had some talented players here.
Very much so.
They've got 4 wide receivers in the game on 3rd and 3. 3 of them flanked to the top part of the screen. Lots of time for Elway. He's got his man in a 1st down. The pass complete to Vance Johnson. J.C. Pearson and Danny Copeland on the stop for the Chiefs.
Derek Thomas is going to have to learn technique to get by his blocker to put pressure on the quarterback. He hasn't been able to do that yet. See, now Derek Thomas gets a nice takeoff, but he's got to be capable of using hands and getting rid of that blocker to put pressure on Elway. If he's not capable of doing that, Elway's going to have all day long to throw the ball, and Kansas City secondary will be in trouble.
Broncos moving 1st and 10. Winder and Alexander are split behind John Elway. We're just underway from Mile High Stadium. Play fake. In trouble now. Elway completes the pass to Alexander. Putting the pressure on for Kansas City was the outside linebacker, Chris Martin. Elway did a good job of avoiding the rush and dumping the ball off to Alexander to turn a sure loss into a gain.
There's the replay. John fades back, and of course, Kansas City's got no pressure. And there's pressure from the outside from Derek. He's chasing Elway down. He's got to learn to come into the backfield under control. If he doesn't do that, John's going to be able to scramble out of the way in every situation. He's got to come under control.
Melvin Bratton checks into the game now for the first time this afternoon for the Denver Broncos. He's back there with Jeff Alexander.
Yes, sir.
It's Bratton in motion. Elway to put it up again. He's got his man, Melvin Bratton, the rookie out of Miami, and a first down for the Denver Broncos. Melvin Bratton, a very interesting story. Blew out his knee his senior year at the University of Miami. Was selected by the Miami Dolphins. Did not like the contract offer they made to him. Rehabilitated the knee. Elected to sit out the entire season. Re-entered the draft, and the Broncos are happy to have him. Bratton coming out of the backfield there. He has the best hands of the Denver running backs. And Dan Reeves is very high on getting him the ball out on the flat whenever possible. He's in there now with Sammy Winder on 1st and 10. 11:08 to play in the first quarter. The Broncos on the move. It's Winder slicing his way forward before Kevin Porter finally dropped him. The Kansas City Chiefs tried to make some adjustments on defense because they were one of the worst teams in the NFL against the rush last year. And Dan Reeves told us yesterday that the Broncos are going to do everything in their power to exploit the Chiefs' weakness as far as rushing defense goes. John Elway, 4 of 4, 24 yards. Here he's facing a 2nd and 4. It's Winder over the right guard, and I think Sammy Winder's got a first down. Dino Hackett on the hit for the Kansas City Chiefs.
And that's a key play because Denver's offensive line isn't physically big enough, but they're pulling Keith Bishop around up inside the outside part of the nose tackle to give room for the running backs to run up through there.
Well, you're looking at a rebuilt Kansas City Chief defense. First of all, you have 2 linebackers in there that were on other teams last year. Chris Martin, who played part of the year for the Vikes and then played for the Chiefs. Walker Lee Ashley, a Plan B free agent from the Vikings. And Derek Thomas, the rookie. 1st and 10 from the 27-yard line. Bratton in motion. This is the big fullback, Jeff Alexander, putting his head down and crushing forward for a few tough yards.
Fred, that's a very nice job by Keith Karts, the center for the Denver Broncos, taking over for Billy Bryan. Put a nice block on Nas. He gave room for the running back.
Jeff Alexander, an interesting story as well, coming out of the ball game now. Spent last year on IR with an injured wrist, but Dan Reeves says that he is the big back the Broncos have been missing for some time, and he's not afraid to give him the ball in tight situations. Sammy Winder, the lone setback behind Elway on 2nd and 7. Moving from the 24-yard line, 9:08 to play in the first quarter. Elway. For Clarence Kane, he overthrew him. Kevin Porter had him defensively. They tried to slant Kane to the end zone, and Elway simply overthrew him.
Keith Karts is doing a very nice job controlling Moss at the moment. It's early in the game, but I would imagine that Bill will get a little angry and start beating up on Karts a little bit.
Let's take a look at it.
Gets up the ball pretty nice and quick. He's using his hands good. See, Bill's trying to take a side, and Karts is pushing him outside of his rushing lane. Moss has got to stay inside the rushing lane. See how they're all bundled up on one side? That gives Elway time to throw the ball and vision to see his receivers.
3rd and 7. Broncos with 3 wide receivers in the ball game. Look for 83, Michael Young. Instead, the pass is for Jackson, and he overthrows him in the end zone into double coverage. Danny Copeland back there with Deron Cherry.
The key here is John Elway's quickness. He gets knocked down here, but he gets rid of the ball. They say his release is as quick as anybody in football. He's a little overthrown there. John needed to take a little bit off the ball.
David Treadwell in to attempt his first field goal for the Denver Broncos. 41-yard attempt. 41-yard field goal by David Treadwell, and the Broncos jump out to a 3-0 lead. David Treadwell is a young man who earned a job on this club because Rich Carlos could not come to contract terms with the Broncos.
Obviously, he realizes this is his chance to perform, and he's doing a good job. The important part about what's happened on this first drive is that Denver's offensive line is controlling Kansas City's defensive line. That's a possibility where the game could be won and lost. Now, if Denver's offensive line, they say they're too weak, but they're strong enough to do just that, to move them out of the way.
Well, we talked to Marty Schottenheimer yesterday. He told us he wants an improved defensive effort, but it's going to take some time to get his people into position.
It looks as if Kansas City's defense is still adjusting to the new system that Marty and Carl Peterson has put in there.
We checked the ticker. Tampa Bay came from behind to win. And now late game starting here in the West. Houston, Minnesota, no score. Philadelphia quickly out ahead of Seattle. Eagles have to be considered a Super Bowl contender this year.
With Randall Cunningham, this guy could be one of the best quarterbacks in football. And obviously, if he's healthy and he plays well, Philadelphia's going to do a good job this year.
Brain trust on the sideline, Marty Schottenheimer. He says the system works. It's just getting the players to play in the system, and that's going to take him a couple of years.
Fred, you know, I played for Marty in Cleveland, and he is a guy that wants his people to be aggressive, to get after people, to confuse the offenses, and I think that Marty's philosophy and principle of defense and offense is going to do a good job for him. I think they'll win.
David Treadwell teeing the ball up. He's had some problems kicking the ball deep. As a matter of fact, they forced him to squib the ball last week because he couldn't get it deep enough, and it was hurting the Broncos because they were starting with such poor field position. Now, Dan Reeves has told him to take a longer run. What would be the definition of a longer run?
Well, let him start in the end zone.
That would be a long one. He might kick the ball out of the stadium from the end zone. And this one is short. It's Danny Copeland on the 12-yard line. He brings it up to the 25. Mark Munford on the stop. The veteran Steve DeBerg, the first time in his career that he can actually say, I'm the #1 quarterback and there's nobody waiting in the wings. Those are the men that will be up ahead of him. Mike Webster anchors an offensive line that has been completely rebuilt by the Kansas City Chiefs.
What we have to look for here, Fred, I think, is watch Denver's defensive ends align up on top of the guards to shut down the running game.
As you can see, when they go to 4 wideouts, Rob Thomas and Naz Worth and the rookies in the game for the Chiefs. They're starting 1st and 10 from their own 25. Herman Hurd, the lone setback. DeBerg not afraid to put it up. And it's picked off. Tyrone Braxton's got the ball.
What a play Tyrone Braxton made. He played him perfectly. Stepped off the ball, off the receiver, stepped in front of the ball. Bam, touchdown. Tremendous play. Great read, Fred.
Not exactly the way Steve DeBerg wanted to start the ball game.
Absolutely not, but he'll settle down. Let's wait and see.
Treadwell tacks on the extra point.
Boy,
just that quick.
this is a surprise. So quick.
Tyrone Braxton, a 12th round pick in 1987 out of North Dakota State. He stuck with the club because of his special teams play, and he's playing today for the injured Mark Haynes.
Here we go. DeBerg setting back, looking at his receivers. Just a tremendous play by Braxton. He played off his receiver perfectly, stepped in front, caught the ball, intercepted, and touchdown. Is DeBerg looking? He should have looked off his receiver and gone to later on, but instead he goes right to his primary receiver, and it's trouble. He read the ball. Braxton read the ball, and it's a touchdown.
Lyle,
Fred, could you have done that?
No, I couldn't have done that.
I think you could have intercepted that.
You're probably right. I could have.
I have no doubt.
With my quickness.
Here we go again. Just a perfect play by Braxton.
You know, but
he's only 5'11".
You point something out. He looked right at Harry. He never looked him off.
He did not look his receiver off, and it's important that a quarterback does just that to confuse the defensive backs. Now, Braxton read that very easily. That's why he made the interception.
Marty Schottenheimer knows it's going to take a while to get things together.
Absolutely. It certainly looks like they're a little bit confused right at the moment.
So here's Treadwell again. Copeland and Gamble are deep. And this time he booms it into the end zone. Steve DeBerg marching back out onto the field. One play, one turnover, and Denver scores. Let's check that defense. Up front, you have Alfonso Carricker, the Plan B free agent signed out of Green Bay. Andre Towson on the other side. Simon Fletcher, a man to keep an eye on, 73. He'll be blitzing a lot. The Bronco defensive backfield, basically a new unit. You have the rookie Atwater. Henderson and Braxton weren't there last year. The only returning veteran is Dennis Smith. Herman Hurd, the lone setback behind Steve DeBerg. Chiefs are moving 1st and 10 from their 20. Lost the ball, it's on the ground, and the Broncos appear to have it. Two snaps from center and 2 turnovers for Kansas City.
Kansas City looks so unsettled at the moment. It was a nice recovery by Andre Townsend at Denver, but Kansas City looks so unsettled right now. They're just unsure of things.
Marty Schottenheimer told us yesterday it was going to take time, Lyle. They were going to be a bit uneasy, but I don't think it's got to be this uneasy.
He couldn't handle the ball, and Townsend was there and made the sack, and they recovered the ball. You know, when you're playing in this situation, the team is uneasy. You have to try and settle your team down. Kansas City obviously is not sure what they're doing.
Broncos 1st and goal from the 8. That's Johnson in motion. Sammy Winder, rim around the outside. Winder, short of the goal line. Marker on the play. Well, one official has signaled touchdown, but there is a flag on the play.
Holding during the run. Number 40 on the offense. Still 1st down.
We now welcome those of you who are watching the Chicago Bears-Cincinnati Bengal Bowl game. The Bears winning it 17-14. Fred Rogan and Lyle Alzado at Mile High Stadium in Denver. And you have missed some exciting football with 8:04 to play in the 1st quarter. The Broncos already out to a 10-0 lead. Kansas City has turned the ball over twice, and Denver is now trying to capitalize again. John Elway facing a 1st and goal from the 18-yard line. Bobby Humphrey and Mel Bratton, the running backs behind him. This is the rookie out of Miami, Bratton, with room up the middle. He's inside the 10-yard line. Now, while you were away watching the other game, this is how the Broncos got on the board.
You should have looked off his receiver. Instead of Braxton does a nice job of reading the ball, picking it off, and going for a touchdown. Now, this gives Denver an opportunity to get on a roll with things. They have a lot of confidence in what they're doing, obviously, and they know what they're doing, and they're executing.
Tyrone Braxton, a 34-yard interception for a touchdown on the Chiefs' 1st possession. Now, Denver moving 2nd and goal from the 9-yard line. Again, to Bratton, pulling his way forward. Kevin Porter finally wrestled him down. Mel Bratton, 6'1", 225. The key is, will his knee last the season? He looks awfully good now.
You see what they're doing here, Fred? They're delaying it so Bratton has a chance to get through there. They're letting the defensive lineman come through and allowing Bratton to have time to cross the line of scrimmage. With a guy that big and that fast, he's gone to the touchdown, or close to it.
Dan Reeves told us yesterday, Bratton and Alexander are the kind of backs he needs. Big, strong running backs that can move people out, run over them. Marty Schottenheimer feels like he's been run over by a truck, and we're just in the 1st quarter. 3rd and goal. Winder, touchdown. If you're Denver, you're feeling awfully good. If you're Kansas City, you're wondering what happened.
Well, I would imagine right now, Kansas City's trying to adjust to what Denver's doing. Denver has them on ropes. Sammy Winder has got great speed, great balance, and here he's going for the touchdown. It's 17-0. Kansas City's in some trouble.
6 minutes and 30 seconds to play in the first quarter. Treadwell trying to make it a 17-0 game. Out of the hold of Kubiak. If you like scoring and you like Denver, you're in a great mood. 6:30 to play in the quarter. The Broncos out to a 17-0 lead.
For reaching out, for reaching high, for pushing hard each time you try, for the smile that's part of you, for stepping in, for coming through this buzz for you.
Beechwood aged with a taste so crisp and clean, so refreshing, it's the king of beers.
This buzz for you.
From ancient times, astronomers have defined an eclipse as the passage of a celestial body between the observer and the sun. Today, an eclipse is the passage of a celestial body with the observer in it. For personal exhilaration, an eclipse can eclipse an eclipse.
My athlete's foot kept flaring up. I'd put it out, and it'd just flare up again. Then my doctor told me about Tinactin. It cures recurring athlete's foot. Use it regularly, and it'll keep the fire from coming back.
Tinactin puts the fire out for good.
The Allstate anti-lock brake discount is a great opportunity to save money. Provided your car has anti-lock brakes. The anti-lock brake discount. Don't pass it up.
It's been a long time since the Chiefs have won here at Mile High Stadium against the Broncos, and if things don't change, it's still going to be a long time.
They're keeping that streak alive, Fred.
Denver has come out fired up, and the Chiefs look very uncertain.
Yeah, but Kansas City's turning the ball over. They're making a lot of mistakes, and that's giving Denver an opportunity to score points and jump on top of this team.
Sammy Winder converting the scoring drive to give the Broncos the 17-0 lead.
I know what I tell my Kansas City players on the sideline. Let's go. Come on.
Well,
Kick some butt.
That'd be an inspiration, Lyle.
Absolutely. I'd use other words, but I'm not allowed.
I don't know if you were allowed to use the one you did.
I think so.
Okay. Danny Copeland waiting for the kick. On the goal line, it's Copeland. Chopped down at the 20-yard line. The Plan B free agent Scott Curtis making the hit for the Broncos. Steve DeBerg has lined up behind Mike Webster twice in this ball game. On the first play, he threw an interception to cost him a touchdown. The second time, he muffed the exchange with Herman Hurd, and that cost the Chiefs.
I would think all those long days in training camp, they would have gotten used to the snap count, and everything should be settled. Obviously, they're not.
Moving 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. Emil Harry in motion. Hurd. And Michael Brooks making the hit for the Broncos.
Michael Brooks is a fine football player. I think Kansas City has to establish something now. Let them establish the running game. Maybe they'll get us some confidence. They can start throwing the ball and gain some yardage. Right now, as I mentioned before, they look so unsettled, so unsure of themselves.
Well, the Chiefs told us that they wanted to establish that running game. That was the key for them this afternoon.
And I think with Marty as their coach, they'll stay with it until they can establish that.
James Saxon now in the backfield with Hurd on 2nd and 7. He has time. Swings it out to Herman Hurd over the 30-yard line, and it looks like the Chiefs have their first down of the afternoon. Mark Munford made the hit for Denver.
DeBerg dropping back. See, he's not going to the out patterns anymore because they've got it covered. He's going underneath the linebackers to Herman Hurd here, and it's a nice play, nice pass play. and get some yardage. Maybe they'll get them going now.
Chiefs moving 1st and 10 from the 32. Hurd banging forward for a couple. Well, Chicago came back to beat Cincinnati. Indianapolis made a game of it in the Hoosier Dome, but the 49ers winning there, and New Orleans ruining Jimmy Johnson's debut as coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome to the NFL, huh, Fred?
Welcome to the NFL. A little different ball game this time around. Houston and Minnesota tied in the late games, and New England out ahead of the Jets. He's waited a long time to be the #1 quarterback with no one waiting in the wings. Steve DeBerg getting his chance this season. Over the middle, and Jonathan Hayes couldn't hold on to the ball. He wanted the tight end, Jonathan Hayes, the weakest receiver of the 3 Kansas City tight ends. Hayes is the man they have lead the sweep and deliver blocks, but when it comes to catching the ball, not necessarily the man you want to look to.
Absolutely. Mike Webster is the guy who has solidified this offensive line. He's powerful, he's strong, he's all pro. He'll probably be a Hall of Famer, and here he is now moving Denver's defensive line around.
3rd and 6 for the Chiefs. We have a chance to look at their 4 wide receiver alignment now. DeBerg is hit, but gets the ball away, and it's complete to Emil Harry for a 1st down. Good job by Steve DeBerg staying in the pocket and facing that defensive pressure.
There's good defensive lineman technique. They've got pushing the defensive lineman out in that water. Puts a nice hit on DeBerg. You're going to try and beat DeBerg up in this game, huh, Fred?
I think that's the goal. The thoughts of Steve DeBerg, as throughout his career, not just to compete, but to help someone else. This year should be different. I'm not the tutor. I'm not the coach. I'm the quarterback. This is Christian Okoye. Okoye missed the entire preseason with a pinched nerve in his neck, making his 1st appearance of the year.
Okoye looks like an offensive tackle, Fred.
He's big and he's strong. 6'1", 260.
Guy that powerful should put some yardage on the board.
When you're playing and a guy 260 is bearing down on you, what are you going to do?
I go the other way, Fred.
That's exactly what you would do.
If I saw you running at me, I'd run the other way also.
For different reasons.
Yes, that's for sure.
Different reasons.
You're so powerful, Fred.
Thank you. I've worked at it my entire life. 2:50 to play in the quarter. 2nd and 7 for DeBerg. Herman Hurd inside Bronco territory before Alfonso Carricker made the hit. Carricker signed as a Plan B free agent from Green Bay. He was a #1 pick. As a matter of fact, he was the first player that Forrest Gregg took when he was the head coach of the Green Bay Packers.
Sometimes players aren't capable of performing in a certain type of situation defensively or offensively. They can come to another organization and be a tremendous football player.
Because the book in Green Bay was that he was a bit of a disappointment. He had never performed up to his potential.
Just maybe he couldn't fit into their type of game plan. But here he looks like he is.
DeBerg will work out of the shotgun on 3rd and 4. 4 wide receivers in the game. Broncos with 7 defensive backs. Over the middle, he's got a man, and he's got a 1st down. The rookie Naz Worthen out of North Carolina State. Dennis Smith on the hit, but the Chiefs are moving 1st and 10.
Dennis Smith is probably one of the leaders out there in the Bronco defense, a hard hitter. Does a good job. You know, here's the play right here, and of course Dennis Smith makes a nice hit. He's the guy that took place of Billy Thompson, who was a great defensive back here, and they compared Dennis Smith to Billy Thompson.
Nice adjustment there by Naz Worthen. He was the 3rd-round pick out of North Carolina State. 1st and 10, Chiefs with their deepest penetration on the Bronco 32. Herman Hurd turning the corner and paying the price. Michael Brooks put a lick on him.
You know, Fred, it looks like Kansas City's beginning to settle now. They're trying to establish their running game. They're gaining some yardage on the ground. The players look a little more settled into their game plan, and now, baby, they'll make a game of it. Here's Eatman. pushing the linebacker outside. And, of course, he's going to take the outside lane, gain some yardage. And, of course, a nice move there. And he's got some nice yardage.
Hurd picked up 4 yards. Clock is running. 38 seconds to play now in the first quarter. The Chiefs are 2nd and 6. Hurd and Saxon behind Steve DeBerg. Hurd. One more step and he would have broken. Rick Dennison got him around the ankles to drop him.
Hurd looks like the workhorse for today's game.
Well, he's the man they went to during the preseason. With Christian Okoye out and struggling with a pinched nerve in his neck, he's going to pick up the action. And that'll be the final play of the first quarter. Well, it didn't start well for Kansas City, but the Chiefs appear to be getting it together now.
As I mentioned before, Kansas City seems now that they've established the running game, and they are now beginning to establish what they need to go with.
The writers of Motor Trend magazine road-tested a lot of cars before the Mitsubishi Galant. They road-tested a lot of cars after it. But no other car was so well conceived, so well crafted, so thoroughly satisfying to drive. And that is why they marked the occasion in the most significant way they could. They named the Mitsubishi Galant Motor Trend Import Car of the Year.
It's the right beer now,
But not now.
it's the right beer now.
Definitely not now.
Coors Light, it's the right beer now.
And absolutely, positively not now. No way.
Hey, Dave, let me give you a ride home. We recognize how important every 800 caller is to your business. We recognize that. And if for some reason there's a disruption in that service, we know you can't afford to be out of business. We have a new AT&T 800 assurance policy. If you're not getting 800 calls for any reason, if it's an equipment failure, if it's a problem with the network, it doesn't matter to us. What matters to us is getting your calls to you. We guarantee we'll put you back in service to a working telephone line within an hour. That's what the assurance policy does for you.
NBC sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Mitsubishi Motors, who invite you to come see the full line of cars and trucks. Mitsubishi, suddenly the obvious choice. And by U.S. Navy. You are tomorrow. You are the Navy.
Mile High Stadium in Denver, Fred Rogan, Lyle Alzado. The Chiefs, after falling behind 17-0 in the first quarter, are on the move. 3rd and 3. Play action for DeBerg. He's got James Saxon short of the first down. I think Rick Dennison ripped him down before he picked up the first down. Here it comes from the end zone, Lyle.
There's DeBerg throwing a rollout. Nice pickup by Michael Brooks. You know, these Denver players are always in the right place at the right time. That's one of the major reasons why Denver's always had a good defense. Of course, last year they had problems stopping the run. This year looked like doing pretty good.
Nick Lowry, making his first appearance of the season, had held out, came to camp late, and this one will be from about 41 yards. Out of the hole to Ron Jaworski. He's almost always automatic.
They're on the board. That's important for them at this point in the game.
The Chiefs are on the board. It's Denver 17, Kansas City 3.
If you feel that having a big waist is, well, a big waste.
It's the right beer now.
If you think water that comes from the Rockies is better than water that comes from faucets.
It's the right beer now.
When you feel tonight's game is headed for extra innings, it's time for the silver bullet, the one that won't slow you down.
Coors Light, yeah, it's the right beer now.
the simple pleasures. Like the comfort of Levi's jeans. Or had you forgotten?
Shape our future, we invite you to learn the technology of tomorrow while you serve your country in the Navy of today.
Long after the game is over, NBC Sports is still on the line. Dial 1-900-226-8000 for NBC Scores Plus. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay, here's Nick Larry kicking his extra point. You know, I met him and talked with him last night. You know, he's a very fine dresser. He's a model and an actor in the offseason. And there's his acting reaction to him kicking the field goal.
He loves it. The field is his stage. Bobby Humphrey from the 1-yard line ran into his own man. And that was that.
Do you think you can break those tackles, Fred?
I don't think I would have a prayer breaking those tackles. And while we debate that point, we'll step aside. The Broncos will have the ball when we return to Denver.
When it comes to protecting your investment, isn't it worth paying for the real thing? Because only Armorall works like Armorall.
Made up my mind. I'm gonna do it. Why shouldn't I? I'm the one who has to look at myself in the mirror every morning. So before I lose another hair, I'm going to the doctor. I know doctors have treatment programs that are proven to work. More guys are trying them every day. I'm not bad now, but I wouldn't mind looking better.
Your doctor can really do something about hair loss. So see your doctor, or call this toll-free number.
People who count on my brakes are important to me. So the people who work on my brakes are important to me.
The people who work on your brakes at Midas are trained brake experts. Remember, nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
A New York City cop on the trail of a killer. From the back alleys of Manhattan to the streets of Japan. You remember me, don't you?
This isn't New York.
Justice falls like black rain.
I thought we were working together.
Michael Douglas, Black Rain, rated R.
Starts Friday, September 22nd at theaters everywhere.
An ominous sight in Denver. The dark clouds are starting to come in. And Lyle, you played here for many years. The weather here can change from second to second.
It could snow by the next quarter.
Beautiful a couple of days ago. This morning it's sunny, and now here comes the rain again. Broncos moving 1st and 10 from their 15-yard line. Jeff Alexander banging his way forward. Dan Reeves told us yesterday the reason he likes Jeff Alexander is because he runs low. He has a low center of gravity, and all you see when he comes at you are shoulder pads and knee pads. Six foot, 232 pounds. Signed as a free agent in '88 out of the Southern University. Give a pickup of 7, so it's 2nd and 3. Bobby Humphrey held short of the first down. Dino Hackett on the stop. All right, we are set for an update. Let's go to NFL Live, and here's Bob Costas.
All right, Fred, as you watch the former Yankee farmhand John Elway quarterback the Broncos, here's a guy who made it to the big leagues with the Yanks. In fact, he homered in Seattle only a few days ago. The NFL debut now of Neon Deion Sanders, a 68-yard punt return for a touchdown, even though Atlanta lost to the Rams. It was electrifying. Let's go back to the Mile High City.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Bob. Neon Deion lighting it up. And here Elway trying to lighten it up on third, and looks like he's held short by Dino Hackett.
Dino Hackett last year was the Kansas City's leading tackler. Good football player.
56 out of Appalachian State.
6'3", 228. He's agile, mobile, and hostile, Fred.
Those are the three that make you a good football player. Here he is again.
Nice read, nice hit.
Selected to his first Pro Bowl last year, missed the game, had a knee injury. We talked to him last night in the hotel, and he told us that there's been no trouble with the knee at all. Doesn't even wear a brace. He feels great.
You know, the Kansas City team has 6 Pro Bowl players. I guess a lot of those guys are upset that they're not recognized.
John Elway diving forward, picks up enough yardage for the first down. So the Broncos continue their drive. 12:40 to play in the first half. Denver scored 17 in the first quarter. The Chiefs have kicked a field goal here in the second quarter. We have a 17-3 game. Sammy Winder and Jeff Alexander are flanked behind Elway. That's Vance Johnson in motion. A lot of time, long ball. Nearly picked off. As a matter of fact, Mark Jackson had to play more defense, knocking the ball away from Kevin Ross, who was with him step for step.
Kevin Ross does a nice job not allowing him to get to the outside. Nice defensive play.
Many people consider him underrated.
I guess when Kansas City begins to win, he'll get the recognition he deserves.
Starting to rain now in Denver.
And it will snow in a few moments more.
light drizzle coming down, and people are grabbing the slickers in the stands. New England jumping out to a 14-0 lead over the Jets. 3 wide receivers in the game for the Broncos on 2nd and 10. And Elway just tossed that out. He was under a lot of pressure. Bill Moss was forcing the play for the Chiefs.
Neil Smith has developed into a fine football player.
Number 90, Neil Smith.
And this is what they have to do with Denver. They have to put pressure on Elway. If they don't get in his face, they're going to have problems all day long.
Raiders and Chargers are tied. You heard on NFL Live the report that if Mike Shanahan loses, Gene Upshaw may replace him as coach of the Raiders.
Art Shell,
I'm sorry.
Well, they're synonymous with each other. They played so long together alongside each other, so people...
He'd have to leave the Players Union, Gene Upshaw, to come back and coach the Raiders. I don't think so. 3rd and 10. The Broncos have 4 wide receivers in the game. Movement on the line. Flags. A lot of time, and over the middle, it's nearly picked off by J.C. Pearson. Intended receiver was Mark Jackson.
But it looks like Mike Bell jumped the gun a little bit. He's the kind of guy that's got a great takeoff, and I think he leans a little bit too far. If you notice, there's too much weight on his front hand, and that doesn't give him balance. So he's, if there's a quick count such as that, he might jump offside.
Still 3rd down.
So Elway gets a reprieve because Bell jumps.
Here's Mike right here. Of course, once again, as I mentioned, if you watch the weight on his front hand, he puts too much pressure there, and that's why he jumps off. He's not controlled of himself, even though Mike's a fine football player.
John Elway completed his first 4 passes. His last 4 have been incomplete. On 3rd and 5, he's got Sammy Winder in the backfield, along with Vance Johnson, who starts from back there. And he goes out to Johnson, who is very close to a first down. They started Johnson coming out of the backfield and then hit him, and he's very close to the first down.
Once again, there was pressure on John Elway by Neil Smith. And this is the key to the game now. If they can put pressure on Elway and shut down Denver's offense, they might get back in this.
It'll depend on the spot.
You know, John looks like he's limping a little bit, but well, he's got a tremendous release. Nice pattern.
Right on that marker, Lyle.
Always on the mark.
But the Broncos don't get the spot of the ball.
No. And
they'll punt it away.
This seems to be the first time Kansas City shut down Denver's offense, which is a pleasant surprise, Frederick.
For the folks in Kansas City. Mike Horan, the Pro Bowl punter, will do the chores for the Broncos. Lou Barnes, the Plan B free agent out of Atlanta, deep for the Chiefs. Horan kicking from his 20. High kick. And it's Barnes in the 23. That's a good play by 59 Tim Lucas, good special teams player. 41-yard kick, 20-yard return. Will return to Denver.
This way, Mr. Starr.
Oh, thank you.
Life with me dad's a real scream. He needs a star vehicle like my all-new 1990 Cutlass Supreme. It's a fab four-door. With a hot engine that really screams.
Drop in again, Mr. Starr.
Hello, Daddy.
This is not your father's Oldsmobile. This is the new generation of old.
If you like having your life well-defined.
It's the right beer now.
If you think that beer made in the Rockies sounds better than beer made in cities.
It's the right beer now.
Because when the game's this close, you don't want to drop the ball. So send in the Silver Bullet, the one that won't slow you down.
Coors Light. Yeah, it's the right beer now.
Next Sunday, the NFL is on NBC.
One of football's great rivalries is renewed when the Los Angeles Raiders battle the Kansas City Chiefs.
And it's payback time for Eric Dickerson when he leads the Colts against his former team, the LA Rams. Plus regional action.
NBC football. It's a whole new ballgame.
Now here's Lou Barnes on the return. You know, you can always tell Lou Barnes you can tell these guys are good dancers. Look at the moves. Look at the way he sways. Look at the cut here. That's a nice dancer there, the number 58. And but if he lifted weights, he was a little stronger. He might be able to break that tackle and dance to the end zone.
There you have it. He'll get on that. They'll put him on the weights. DeBerg, 1st and 10. Little play fake over the middle. He's got his man, Emil Harry, and Harry is into Denver Bronco territory. The book on Emil Harry, he's out of Stanford. He is not the fastest receiver in the league. He's not the quickest receiver in the league. He's a Fred Biletnikoff type. If that ball is anywhere near him, he's going to haul it in.
Sometimes guys like that are the most important receiver you have because they're possession receivers. There's DeBerg, nice throw, nice catch, and there's the possession for you. And he always holds on to the ball.
Emil Henry, a degree in international relations.
Does that mean he gets along with you?
One of the few. Harry, Emil Harry. 1st and 10 from the 36. Loose football. This time DeBerg picks it up and pays the price. Mark Munford nailed it. More trouble with the snap.
You know, it surprised me because Kansas City had a long training camp, and Mike Webster and DeBerg should be used to the snap count, used to the feel of the center. I'm surprised that this is taking place.
Maybe the ball's wet now with the rain.
Well, I would think that being in the league as long as Mike has been and DeBerg, I would think that they would be used to that type of situation, whether the ball's wet or not. They can't make those mistakes. There it is again. He was lucky he recovered the ball. It's a good way to get your quarterback killed.
Knocks him 4 yards back. 2nd and 14 from the 40. Christian Okoye, his 2nd carry. And it's really going to take him some time to get back into shape, Lyle, with no preseason at all.
Well, you know, I'm taking a look at him from up here, and he certainly looks like he's in good shape to me. Of course, if he gets into a long game and he carries the ball a number of times, he might need that extra wind.
They're very concerned about it because early in the training camp, he suffered the pinched nerve in the neck, and he had some numbness in the hands. And when you're dealing with anything like that,
yes, I did.
You want to take as much time as you can to let him come back. Give Okoye a pickup of 2. It's now 3rd and 12 from the 38-yard line. The Broncos have 7 defensive backs in the game. Kansas City going with 4 wide receivers. The lone setback is Kenny Gamble. There's some movement on the offensive line, and there are flags.
Looks like David Lutzmitz is in motion. That way from here.
Number 72 on the offense. Still 3rd down.
Yep.
He is starting in place of Gene Chilton.
David is one of your slim guys. He's 6'6", 310 pounds. He's one of your little people.
Well, both teams, as a matter of fact, are trying to bulk up on their lines, offensively and defensively. They both felt they didn't have enough muscle up front to move people out.
Kansas City's offensive line averages almost 290 pounds.
And the Chiefs are going backwards. Now it's 3rd and 17 from the 43. 4 wide receivers in the game for Kansas City. DeBerg has time, now flips it out to Kenny Gamble. And Gamble carries it near the 35 before he's dropped by Randy Robbins with help from Tyrone Braxton.
Let's take a look at Rob Thomas here. It's a nice pattern he's running. Of course, he gets free. I don't know where the Denver defenders are, but looks like they're having a foot race there. This is the NCAA championships.
Never known as a great track man, but Thomas racing.
There's Nick, the model.
Kip Corrington. Lowry, 3 for 3 of 50 yards or more in 1988. This is a good one. 54 yards. Had enough, but it was off to the right. So the Broncos take over.
You know, Fred, I played it once.
We'll get back to that in a minute, Lyle. We'll take a break and come right back.
Life's full of simple pleasures, like the comfort of Levi's jeans. Or had you forgotten?
It has arrived.
Good morning, Mr. Graves. This is the all-new 4-door Cutlass Supreme. Your mission is to show the world that it's causing an automotive revolution. Its sleek look and responsive performance make it a superpower among world-class cars.
This is not your father's Oldsmobile.
Ready, head up!
This is the new generation of ours.
In 13 cities and 10 countries across the Pacific, they're playing our song. United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve, halfway around the world. Come fly the friendly skies.
Look at that cracking. Guess I used the wrong stain.
You didn't use Water Seal stain, the only stain with Thompson's Water Seal. It seals water out and protects against cracking.
With Water Seal stain, the next time won't be for a long time.
Thompson's Water Seal stain.
NBC sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by the new generation of Oldsmobile. Step into the future now at your Oldsmobile dealer. By Coors Light, pure brewed in the Rockies, the silver bullet won't slow you down. It's the right beer now. And by Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
And just as the fans here at Mile High Stadium have brought out the umbrellas, the sun comes back out. Broncos 1st and 10 from the 37-yard line. Winder and Alexander in the ball game at running backs. It's Sammy Winder. Good hit by the rookie from Alabama, Derek Thomas, number 58. 6'3", 234. First-round pick of Chiefs this season. We're driving to the ball game this morning. We're staying in the Chiefs hotel. We come out of the parking lot, and Derek Thomas is standing on the corner holding a cellular phone outside of the hotel speaking to someone.
Well, he could have been talking to his girlfriend. He could have been a lot of things. Don't you ever stand outside of the hotel with a cellular phone?
On the corner, the street corner? Often. I often do that. 2nd and 8. Alexander behind Elway. Here comes the blitz, but he gets it away, and it's knocked down. Good defensive play there by Kevin Porter. The pass was intended for Mel Bratton out of the backfield, but Porter there to bat the ball away.
Nice pressure by Dino Hackett. You see what I mean about John Elway? He's got such great release. His Hackett, he puts pressure on Elway, but Elway's release is so quick that he does not get in trouble.
You know, there is talk that Dan Reeves becomes conservative after his club jumps out to a big lead on the offensive side of the ball, at least until they get into the other team's striking distance.
Don't seem to be doing that at the moment. They seem to be throwing the ball.
You have to expect they'll do it here on 3rd and 8 from the 39-yard line. 4 wide receivers in the game. Mike Young flanked to the top of the screen. With time, and it's picked off. Ball was thrown right to Angelo Snipes. And Snipes is chopped down at the 37-yard line by Jim Jariga. Elway's pass was thrown directly to the linebacker, Angelo Snipes, who comes in the nickel package.
You know, it surprises me. John usually doesn't make those kind of mistakes. Angelo must have had a nice read, and saw where John was going to go, and he sat right in the hole there and picked the ball off. Very nice play. Nice read. John's usually able to hide some of those things. And that's his first career interception.
It's one he'll remember.
Absolutely.
Look at the pressure.
You know, they have to get up in John's face.
Right now, it's Christian Okoye getting into the Broncos' face as he crashes over for 4 or 5 yards before he is stopped by the linebacking core of the Broncos. Back to your thought for a moment on Elway and the Kansas City defense. Yesterday, we were told by the Chiefs defensive coordinator that they were going to try to stunt a little bit and confuse John Elway. He's had more problems throwing the ball against the Chiefs than any club in the NFL.
Obviously, John and Dan Reeves has adjusted some of their offensive patterns to adjust to that. And you can see that because their receivers are getting open on a consistent basis, and that's why John's completing the ball.
Well, the Chiefs with a chance to get back in this ball game, trailing 17-3, 6:50 to play in the half. Play action. Look out. Here comes Simon Fletcher. No, the fans want intentional grounding, but the Berg was trying to set up the screen.
See, that's the whole key. Simon Fletcher is the new guy in the Denver defense to put pressure on those quarterbacks. Now, DeBerg thought all his people were covered. He had plenty of time. And, of course, Simon Fletcher, with his great speed and strength, last year he had 110 tackles and 10 quarterback sacks. Had a nice year last year. A lot of his teammates believed he should be in the Pro Bowl. And there it is once again, a lot of pressure.
A defensive end in college. Fletcher was moved to the linebacking spot once he came to the NFL. 7 defensive backs for the Broncos, and the Chiefs go with 4 wide receivers on 3rd and 7.
Oh, they're going to quiet the stadium down, Fred. Remember the noise. This is a football game. No noise.
And now you see a flag.
There it goes.
This will be interesting, Lyle. The flag is for delay of game. You saw the official give Rhett Cashin the signal.
Is this on the stadium?
Marty Schottenheimer voted in favor of the rule, as did Dan Reeves.
I don't like the rule.
On the offense,
well, now, we didn't get a call here against Denver. This is one of the few times the offense have been penalized. But remember, Pete Rozelle instituted that little rule this week where the officials will determine if the crowd is in fact too loud.
I just don't think that's a smart rule. The people are here to enjoy the game, to yell and to scream. Everybody's here to make noise and to have a good time doing it. If you quiet, there's a football game in the house. That's no good.
If you want to go to the library, read a book. If you want to go to a football game, show up.
Absolutely.
3rd and 12. A lot of time for the Bird. The pass is incomplete. Is there a flag? No. Naz Wharton was bumped by Tyrone Braxton, but it looks like Braxton got away with it.
It looked like a penalty to me. It looked like he covered him too hard. His hands were on. It was on him, too.
Tyrone Braxton making the most of his opportunity. When Mark Haynes is healthy, Mark Haynes is going to return to the lineup. But if Braxton keeps playing like this, he's going to be a tough man to move out.
Well, that's the situation. If you get an opportunity to play, you got to make the most of your opportunity. So your position is your position.
Kelly Goodburn, nice kick, high. And the Chiefs with outstanding special teams play down the ball on the 1-yard line. Kenny Gamble, the man downfield, along with Rob McGovern.
That was a key play that Denver's going to have to start on the 2-yard line. It's 98 yards.
6 minutes and 34 seconds to play in the half.
I like hanging around, getting down, walking the dog, doing the town. I like everything I got right here. Rainbows and cold Coors beer. It takes a part of this country as cold and clean as the Rockies to brew a beer as pure and natural as Coors. Brew refresh, just like you like it. Tap an ice cold Coors with a friend of yours. A Rocky Mountain legend, an American original.
We recognize how important every 800 caller is to your business. We recognize that. And if for some reason there's a disruption in that service, we know you can't afford to be out of business. We have a new AT&T 800 assurance policy. If you're not getting 800 calls for any reason, if it's an equipment failure, if it's a problem with the network, it doesn't matter to us. What matters to us is getting your calls to you. We guarantee we'll put you back in service to a working telephone line within an hour. That's what the assurance policy does for you.
They were the biggest men I'd ever seen. They lifted my mama's couch like it was a toy. I ran to my room, but it was gone. But my mama was still there.
If you die, will they have to say goodbye to your house as well? Ask an Allstate agent about mortgage protection and make your family a promise we'll help you keep.
As we drove away, I watched my house get smaller and smaller until it wasn't there anymore.
U.S. gold medalist Roger Kingdom, world record holder in the high hurdles. Cuba's Javier Sotomayor, the first man ever to clear the 8-foot barrier in the high jump. Next Saturday, they defend their world records in a clash of continental champions. The World Cup Track and Field Championships on NBC Sports.
Lyle, let's take a look now at this outstanding play by Kenny Gamble of the Chiefs.
Not only is this outstanding, this is a smart way to do things. He realizes the ball is going to go into the end zone. They're going to start from the 20. So he shoves the ball out, knowing that his teammates will be there to down the ball in the 2-yard line. That gives Elway and his offensive team to start from 98 yards out.
What do you expect? A smart play. The guy went to Colgate.
That's very true.
Yes.
Did you go there?
10th round pick in '88, of course. Boy, you talk about being in a hole. The Broncos starting from their own 3-yard line, 1st and 10. Sammy Winder. Not much going on. Kevin Porter there to put a lick on him. Porter played cornerback in Auburn. He was a 3rd-round pick in 1988. They moved him to the safety spot this year, and they're very pleased with what he's done so far. Let's update those late games around the NFL. Minnesota, a lot of people picked them to win it all. They're up ahead of Houston. New England leading the Jets 21-0. Looks like Mike Shanahan is safe for the time being.
For another week.
Miami ahead of Buffalo.
It's a weekly thing, Fred.
2nd and 8. Jeff Alexander has a lot of running room. They crossed the backs in the backfield, and Alexander was wide open.
That's the misdirection play. Confuse the defense, and they threw the ball to the out. And you get a lot of yardage. Here it is right here. Across the backs of the backfield. There's pressure up front in Elway's face. It's a nice reception.
It's a runaway train. 6 foot, 232 pounds. Another look. When he gets going, you just don't want to stand in front of him.
He's a strong runner.
On 1st and 10, it's that man Alexander this time carrying the ball and crashing over the 35-yard line. Chris Martin teaming with J.C. Pearson on the hit. And a reminder to our viewers that we will be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player for today's game. That coming at the conclusion of the game. Where else would you make that decision? You wouldn't do it.
I think that you're the most valuable player so far.
A fine remark, but I don't think so. Clock running, 4:30 to play in the half. Elway and company facing a 2nd and 5 from the 38. Mark Jackson in motion. But the give is to the big back Alexander, and this time he's stacked up. Well, let's give the Chiefs defensive front three some credit now, because they are attempting to contain the run and doing a better job of it than they were earlier in the game.
Well, the adjustment that they've made, Fred, is they're bringing the defensive end down inside on top of the offensive guard to shut the run down. There's no gap to run.
There's an injured man on the field,
That's
and
Dino Hackett.
And he's grabbing his leg. And he's in pain, and he's not happy, and that can only indicate one thing.
Well, let's hope that that's not the case. Let's hope there's not a knee injury there.
Just last night, we spoke of it earlier, he told us, I'm not wearing a knee brace. I feel great.
It looks like he's walking off the field, so it looks like he'll be okay. As long as a guy walks off the field, he should be capable of playing.
Well, that may be the case.
Yeah, you got to be tough in this game, you know?
Yeah, but if the guy, you
got to chew on people's legs.
And I've heard that's not a pleasant experience.
No, it depends.
On whose leg you're chewing.
That's right.
Let's take a look at exactly what happened. There you see Hackett in the middle of the screen, and you see his leg got bent over right there in the middle of that pile.
If he left his feet, he should have stayed on his feet and slid across to block the hole up.
3rd and 3. Almost intercepted again. He was looking for Mark Jackson, but the pass was closer to Kevin Porter.
Kansas City's doing a good job of hiding those defenses. Looks like it's confusing Elway some.
And again, Neil Smith pressuring Elway on the play.
It looks like he's having a good game today. I haven't heard much from Moss.
Well, he's been clogging the middle as best he can.
Nose tackles are usually quiet when they wham block them.
When they wham block?
That means they try and beat up the nose tackle.
Haran's kick to Lou Barnes. From the 12. Barnes stays on his feet. Lou Barnes. Boy, the second time he had a fine return in this game. Steve Sewell had to bring him down.
Here's Lou Barnes again. Now, of course, he makes a nice move to the inside here and breaks it back outside. Nice balance. See, I tell you, this guy's a disco dancer. This guy can, I'm telling you, he can dance. This guy can dance.
He can dance. He's got the moves.
Absolutely.
Kind of guy you hated, because when you were playing the game, a guy with moves like that,
I could never catch any of them.
Exactly. 47-yard punt and a 20-yard return. 1st and 10. The intended receiver fell down. He was looking for Carlos Carson, but he slipped on the wet turf right around the emblem at the 50-yard line. Carson told us last night that all preseason DeBerg was going to him because Stephon Page wasn't around. And he said when Stephon finally got to camp, he said, all right, now it's your turn to finally run. And of course, Stephon isn't playing today.
I think DeBerg, when he gets in trouble, will go to Carson. I believe he's the best receiver. He believes he's the best receiver. And last night when we spoke with him, he seemed calm and at ease, and he really believed Kansas City had a good football team this year.
Well, how do you feel sitting up here in the booth instead of being down on the field?
I think it's lovely being with you, Fred.
Thank you.
Lovely.
It's been the most rewarding experience of my life so far.
Mine too. Thanks, Fred.
Worth it in motion. Over the middle, he's got his man, the tight end, Jonathan Hayes, and he is immediately dropped on the play by Rick Dennison, number 55, and Michael Brooks, number 56. Hayes is a little slow getting up as well, Lyle.
Let's hope that it's not serious once again. Guys like that shouldn't be allowed to get hurt. He's 6'5", 255 pounds. That's a giant human.
Indeed, and you watch him hobble off. You know, you want to walk those things off, but sometimes you can do more damage.
You do, Fred, but at the same time, if the injury's not serious enough to where you're laid out, you've got to get up and play. That's part of being a member of a team that plays regardless of what the situation is. That's how I played. That's the way these guys should play.
But, you know, I submit this
play at all costs, Fred.
Yeah, but when you played, you weren't making $1 million a year. These guys have got insurance policies with Lloyd's of London. These guys have got $1 million a year on the line, and these guys might not want to play with a broken leg.
That's true. You know, that's true. I made $18,000 my first year.
$18,000 when you broke into the NFL?
That's right. There's Marty.
$18,000 bucks. Wow, did you spend it all in one place?
I certainly did not.
Okay.
I still have it.
Yeah, you never pick up the check. But when you reflect back, are you bitter that you're not playing in a day where you make $1 million a year?
I was glad I just had the opportunity to play.
3rd and 3. They've got 4 wide receivers in the game for the Chiefs, 8 defensive backs for Denver. Lots of time over the middle. He's got Worthen and a first down for the Chiefs, the rookie out of North Carolina State. Naz Worthen, named by his father after a racehorse, Nasrallah O'Neal.
I was named after my father's pet cow.
Take a look at it.
Naz, that's a nice move to the inside. See, now that deep back should have been up on top of him. Nice catch. He got open. That's very nice.
Have a report now on Dino Hackett. He has a sprained right ankle. They're taking him into the locker room.
See, now,
to check
ankle shouldn't be a bad enough injury to move out of the game. Play with it.
But we'll see if he returns. They're going to x-ray him in the locker room. 1st and 10 from the 43. Dumps it over the middle to Carson. who makes the reception, a 7-yard pickup before Mark Munford drops him. And that'll bring us to the 2-minute warning. So the Chiefs are trailing 17-3, but they're threatening. And will return to Denver.
Carlos is their guy. They're going to him now.
I like quiet little towns like Crested Butte. Catching a live one out of the chute. Fireside chats, mountain air, hot dogs, and cold Coors beer. It takes a part of this country as cold and clean as the Rockies to brew a beer as pure and natural as Coors. Brew refresh, just like you like it. Tap an ice cold Coors with a friend of yours. A Rocky Mountain legend, an American original.
Listen to the heartbeat of America. Listen to the heartbeat of America. Oh, yeah.
The Chevy Beretta Sport Coupe, designed to help you look better, engineered to help you drive better, and priced to let you live better.
The heartbeat of America.
In today's higher revving and hotter running engines, wear is a greater problem than ever before. Oil breakdown can shorten the life of vital engine parts. That's why there's Castrol. Castrol provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol, because driving today can be a grind. Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
Welcome back to Mile High Stadium. The Broncos started quickly, actually capitalizing on a couple of Chiefs turnovers. Once Kansas City's been able to hold on to the ball, Denver really hasn't moved it that well.
Right, Fred, I think what's happened here now, in the beginning of the game, Kansas City looked very unsure of the type of situations they wanted to put themselves in.
But Marty Schottenheimer told you that last night.
Absolutely, and it proved out to be true. But I think what's happening now is Kansas City settled. They've got a whole half of football to play. I think they're into their game plan.
Steve DeBerg, 9 of 14 for 93 yards. He's had one picked off, and that was returned for a touchdown. Carlos Carson, he's got the ball, and he's inside the 10-yard line. Nice adjustment by Carson, who used his body to block the defender Braxton and haul it in.
DeBerg sees Carlos Carson. He fades one way and goes to Carlos again. You see, now I said before that when they get in trouble and they need to have a big play, they're going to go to Carlos. And that's exactly what they did.
Chiefs are inside the Denver 10. They'll have a 1st and goal.
Listen to the heartbeat of America.
For today's work, today's world, Chevrolet will introduce more new trucks in 1990 than anyone else anywhere. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. Today's truck is Chevrolet.
The heartbeat of America. Today's truck is Chevrolet.
Lyle, it's not surprising that DeBerg went to Carson on that particular pattern, because he told us last night that's the favorite route he likes to run.
The deep square is exactly what he ran. DeBerg saw it and threw it. Carlos caught the ball, and now they're in scoring position. And this is a game.
1st and goal from the 8-yard line. It looked like the Chiefs were going to be blown out of this game, but they have come back strong.
I think they should put you at fullback, Fred.
A lot of noise, but DeBerg gets it off. Herman Hurd looks for a block. He is not in. Andre Townsend finally set him down. Hurd very close to the goal line. And the Chiefs use their 2nd timeout. Herman Hurd is versatile. Now, he had some problems last year. He missed 4 games with a separated shoulder, and he missed the first 2 games of the preseason with a groin injury. But when he is healthy, he's a very talented running back.
Not only that, he's got all the talent that's necessary to give him the big play when it's needed.
The Raiders leading San Diego 21-7.
Mike looks safe for another day.
Marty Schottenheimer's old club, the Browns, on top of the Steelers.
But Carson must be very happy.
He inherited a couple of good ball players there.
Not only that, it's his first head coaching job. He's waited a long time. It's nice for him to win his opening game.
Marty Schottenheimer says it's the system that wins, and when you get the players that fit into the system, you win. But it takes time to do it.
It certainly does, and Marty believes that the players he has right now will help him create that situation. Obviously, he's going to have to change players to get talented enough players to do just that.
The timeout situation, Denver has all three. The Chiefs have one. 1:29 to play in the half.
Marty's a very bright coach, very innovative.
You played for him. He was your defensive coach.
Very aggressive coach.
Second and goal from the 1-yard line. Ooh, lucky they reset. Gamble did not get in. And I'll tell you what, the Chiefs are very lucky because one of their backs flipped a little bit and then reset, or they could have been hit. It was James Saxon that moved.
Well, before, the Denver Broncos have had problems keeping people out of the end zone. And, of course, now that they're bigger up front, they're physically strong enough to push that line of scrimmage back so they can't jump over there. See, Denver has gotten stronger up front, and that's because Wade Phillips and Earl Leggett make those guys lift weights, eat a lot of food.
Be mean.
Be mean.
Saxon and Gamble in the ball game. It's third and goal from the 1. Big play for the Chiefs. Gamble. No, he didn't get in.
That certainly is a change from previous years that the Denver Broncos would be able to keep somebody out of the end zone on short yardage.
Lyle, that's the second time in this situation that Mark Munford has sliced through to stop Kenny Gamble.
Well, I think Earl Leggett and Wade Phillips have put up a defensive scheme so that they free that backer up so that he can make the hit to stop the running back from getting in the end zone.
Munford playing for the injured Carl Mecklenburg. Munford works around town as a handyman.
You know, Denver's defense is playing awfully well, but can you imagine if they had Mecklenburg back?
Wow.
Wow.
Now they're trying to make a decision. Are we going to kick a field goal or go for it? And DeBerg running off to talk to Marty Schottenheimer.
I think Marty's going to go for it.
They better go for it pretty quick. The clock is running, and now the rain is coming down at a pretty good clip here.
Marty will probably come up with something absolutely opposite of what they'll expect him to do.
Chiefs use their final timeout of the first half. And Marty is discussing it with Steve DeBerg. You know, talking about Mark Munford for a moment, he had been with the club a number of times, 51 for the Denver Broncos, and cut, came back, and to make money here in the Denver area, he does a little carpentry work. He'll build you a few shelves, does a little house painting. He's a handyman in the area. And when Mecklenburg went down, he came back, took a shot, and he has played very well for him.
You know, I think some of the organizations around the league release players and bring them back to adjust their salaries. And I think that it helps control the salaries so that it's affordable to keep players like that.
For many years, the NFL has done that, and they've controlled players' salaries. Now, with the advent of the rookies this year in the Plan B free agency, these guys are making some big bucks.
I think everybody in the league should make $1 million.
Who could argue? Listen, you get what the market can bear in life.
Absolutely.
Well, this is going to be a good example of Marty Schottenheimer's confidence in his offense. He'll forego the field goal after being stopped twice on the goal line to go for a touchdown on 4th and 1.
But Marty's going to come up with something completely opposite, unless he's going to go over Mike Webster.
Let's watch. Gamble, touchdown!
And what did I say? Went right over Mike Webster because he's the strongest guy up front. He got the good push. Denver's line was pushed back. Touchdown, Kansas City.
And the confidence that that offensive line has to have right now.
That's what instills confidence. When you're in a situation that's a possibility of failing. Marty said to his team, okay, we're going for it. DeBerg hands off. There's the play. There's the confidence. And there's the touchdown.
Well, it took him a while, but the end result was a touchdown.
And that's most important.
The Chiefs are back in this ball game. You see the rain coming down to make the exchange difficult in a situation like this. Field goal point after attempt. There's a flag. The Broncos were offside.
Fred, we got ourselves a game.
Looked like the right end. Bronco right end was offside.
Offside by the defense. Takes catch to a 5-yard penalty on the kickoff.
Let's take another look at the score, Lyle. The rookie out of Colgate, Kenny Gamble.
Kenny Gamble does a nice job here jumping up over the pile, and that's the importance of Kansas City's offensive line right behind Mike Webster, getting the push at the defensive line so that Gamble could get over the line of scrimmage, score that touchdown.
How does Marty Schottenheimer feel about the first touchdown his Chiefs have scored in the regular season? We know Dan Reeves wasn't very pleased with it, I guarantee you that.
Obviously not. I think Marty is, I think Marty feels pretty good about having his team giving him the confidence to run that play.
This is Marty right there. Don't be too excited, Marty. This is a golf match.
This is also a game to be reckoned with now.
You know, talk about Kenny Gamble, second all-time leading rusher in Division 1A. He played so well last week that they were able to release Paul Palmer. That was really the determining factor. Gamble's play last week made Palmer expendable.
Well, I find it hard to believe that Palmer was expendable. He's a guy that's quite an athlete. They could have used him in other situations. Maybe there was a personality conflict there.
New coach, new staff,
new personality.
And he ends up playing for Frank Gans in Detroit, the coach he had problems with last year in Kansas City.
Well, you see, Gans obviously knew that there's a talent there.
That's right. .26 seconds to play in the half. Bobby Humphrey, 5 yards deep, makes the right move and downs it. You may have heard the thunder and lightning. Now it's coming down at a pretty good clip here. Now in this situation, Lyle, you're late in the first half. You're starting deep in your own zone, and you're John Elway. You're going to put the ball up. You're going to keep it on the ground, and also take into account that it's raining.
Well, you know, Fred, I would keep the ball on the ground. There's only 26 seconds left in the half. They got a whole second half to go. Keep the ball on the ground, run the clock out, come back with a new situation, and go to the air again. Elway and the three amigos. Let's go that way.
Well, the rain is certainly going to affect their passing game if it continues like this in the second half. Starting from their own 20 on 1st and 10. Bratton in motion, but it is Alexander over the left tackle to the 25-yard line. They're heading for the locker room to get out of the rain. You see the clock counting down, and that'll be the final play of the first half.
Well, Fred, this looks like it's a game. Of course, Kansas City has to come out and be capable of doing the same thing again.
Well, Marty Schottenheimer started off slowly. His club has come back and played effectively now. The Denver Broncos started off quickly, but when the Chiefs haven't made any mistakes, the Broncos haven't been able to generate any offense.
Well, I think Marty and his staff has figured out what the Denver offense is doing. They've made adjustments defensively, and they have made the adjustments to shut down Denver's offense.
That is the end of the first half. With the score, the Denver Broncos 17 and the Kansas City Chiefs 10.
Listen to the heartbeat of America.
For today's work, today's world, Chevrolet will introduce more new vans in 1990 than anyone else anywhere. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. Today's truck is Chevrolet.
The heartbeat of America. Today's truck is Chevrolet.
It's not easy for a child to grow up in the world today. Some are homeless, battered, and abused. Others become drawn into drugs and alcohol. Many of these children see a world around them that is warped and distorted.
I'm Duron Cherry of the NFL's Kansas City Chiefs, and this is my family. My wife, Faith, and our son, Duron. As a star in the NFL, I can ensure that my family will be cared for. But as United Way volunteers, we've seen how difficult it is for many children to have someone to care for them. These are some of the beautiful children that are helped by United Way agencies here in Kansas City. They are helped because you give to the United Way.
And with your help, they will get the love and care that we all want for our children and all children.
When you give to the United Way, you bring out the best in them. And the United Way, it brings out the best in all of us.
This message furnished by the National Football League.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by today's Chevrolet, who invites you to see why nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. NFL halftime activities will continue after these messages from your local station.